When you fall asleep, the world doesn't shut off the way you think it does. Your body goes still, your breathing deepens, and your mind loosens its grip on reality, but something else becomes active in that silence. Demons don't arrive with noise or violence. They arrive with patience. They have been waiting long before you closed your eyes. Sleep is not weakness to them, it is access. The moment your thoughts stop defending themselves, the moment you stop questioning what feels normal, they step closer. They start by listening, not to sounds, but to patterns. Your breathing, your heartbeat, the rhythm of your dreams. Every person sleeps differently, and demons learn you the way a predator learns the habits of its prey. They don't touch you at first. Touch leaves memory. Instead, they observe. They map your fears, your regrets, the memories you avoid during the day. Your dreams hand these things to them freely, wrapping them in symbols and stories your conscious mind can't interrupt. Once they understand you, they begin to interfere, very lightly. A dream feels slightly off. A hallway is longer than it should be. A familiar voice sounds distant or wrong. You don't panic, because panic would wake you. Demons are careful not to wake you. They guide dreams the way hands guide smoke, reshaping without forcing. Fear introduced too quickly breaks the spell. Fear introduced slowly becomes part of you. As the night deepens, they move closer. This is when people feel watched. Your mind senses presence before your body ever could. You turn in your sleep. Your breathing changes. Sometimes you open your eyes for a second and see nothing, because they are not meant to be seen directly. They exist in the gap between perception and understanding. That gap widens during sleep, and they step into it. Demons feed, but not the way stories tell it. They don't take blood. They don't steal souls in one dramatic moment. They feed on emotional residue, stress you never processed, fear you buried, guilt you refuse to face. Sleep loosens the seals you put on these things during the day. While you dream, those emotions rise to the surface, raw and unguarded. That's when demons consume them, slowly, carefully, leaving you empty in ways you can't explain when you wake. This is why you can sleep for 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. Something took more than time from you, and sometimes feeding isn't enough. Sometimes demons experiment. They plant thoughts the way a gardener plants seeds, a doubt that doesn't feel like doubt, a fear with no memory attached, a sudden discomfort in places that once felt safe. These seeds don't grow overnight. They grow over days, weeks, months until you believe they were always part of you. Sleep paralysis is when something goes wrong. It's not an attack. It's exposure. You wake up before they leave, your mind turns on, but your body stays still, trapped between worlds. That pressure on your chest isn't weight, it's proximity. You're aware of something that was never meant to be acknowledged. Demons hate this moment, not because you're afraid, but because you're aware. Awareness is dangerous. That's why the experience ends abruptly. That's why you forget details as soon as you move again. Before morning, they retreat. They don't linger in daylight. They pull back into the quiet spaces of your mind, into the shadows of unfinished dreams. They erase their footprints as best they can. But erasing everything would require effort, and demons are efficient. They leave just enough behind to ensure you'll be vulnerable again the next night. That's why waking up feels strange sometimes, why familiar rooms feel slightly unfamiliar, why you feel watched even when you're alone. It's not paranoia, it's memory without images. Your mind remembers the presence even when it can't remember the form. Demons don't need to harm you to succeed. If they can shape how you feel about the world, how safe you feel in your own thoughts, they've already won something, and they'll come back, night after night, patient, quiet, waiting for the moment you stop fighting sleep and give in, because the truth is, they don't do anything to you while you sleep that you didn't unknowingly allow. And tonight, when your eyes close and your thoughts begin to drift, they'll be there again, listening, learning, and getting closer than they were last time. As sleep pulls you deeper, the rules you live by during the day no longer apply. Time stretches, bends, and loses meaning. This is the layer demons prefer most. It is not deep sleep and not waking life, but the narrow space in between, where your mind drifts without direction and your thoughts become fluid. In this state, you stop resisting ideas. You stop correcting inconsistencies. You accept what you're shown. That acceptance is the door. Demons don't create dreams from nothing. They reuse what already exists inside you. Memories you forgot you had. Faces you haven't seen in years. Places that feel safe because they once were. They stitch these fragments together carefully, building environments that feel personal. This is intentional. Fear grows stronger when it comes from familiar ground. A strange monster means nothing compared to a trusted place that suddenly feels wrong. They begin to test limits. How much discomfort can your mind tolerate before waking itself? how much fear can be introduced without triggering panic. They push just enough to make you uneasy, then pull back. You tell yourself it's just a dream. Demons rely on that phrase. It keeps you asleep, it keeps you compliant. As the dream continues, they start shaping outcomes. You try to run, but your legs feel heavy. You try to scream, but no sound comes out. These are not random dream mechanics. They are rehearsals. Demons practice control in dreams because dreams obey different physics. Resistance there is weak. Reaction times are slow. Emotional responses are amplified. Every failed escape teaches them how you react when you feel powerless. Sometimes they let you win. You escape. You wake up relieved. This is not mercy. This is conditioning. Victory lowers your guard. It convinces you that nothing truly bad can happen. The next time, they go further. In longer nights, when sleep is uninterrupted, demons begin imprinting. This is when dreams repeat themes across weeks or months. The same hallway, the same door, the same presence just out of view. Repetition builds familiarity. Familiarity builds acceptance. Eventually, fear turns into expectation. You don't panic when the dream starts. You recognize it. That recognition anchors the door wider than before. This is also when dreams bleed into waking life. You wake up already anxious. Certain rooms feel uncomfortable. Certain times of night feel heavier than others. You can't explain why. Demons don't need you to understand. They need you to feel. Emotion is the bridge they use to cross from your dreams into your decisions. During this phase, they listen less and influence more. Your thoughts before sleep matter. What you worry about, what you scroll through, what you avoid thinking about. Demons work with momentum. If your mind is already leaning toward fear or stress, they follow that direction and deepen it. If your mind is calm, they wait. They are patient enough to wait days, even weeks, for the right opening. Not every night is active. Some nights they simply watch. These nights feel normal, even restful. This is intentional. Constant disturbance would raise suspicion. Consistency would teach you patterns. Demons prefer randomness. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you dismissing experiences as coincidence. Near morning, as sleep grows lighter, they pull back again. But the influence remains. The thoughts they planted continue to echo. You make choices the next day that feel like your own. You avoid things without knowing why. You feel tired without reason. You feel watched even in safe places. Demons don't need to stay with you physically. Once they've learned how to reach you, distance doesn't matter. They've already mapped the pathways in your mind. Sleep was just the introduction. And tonight, when your body relaxes and your thoughts begin to drift again, they won't need to start from the beginning. They'll pick up exactly where they left off. By the third stage, demons no longer treat you as something unfamiliar. They know your patterns now. They know how long it takes you to fall asleep, which thoughts circle your mind before you drift, which memories you push away when your guard is down. At this point, sleep is no longer just a doorway. It is routine, and routines are easy to exploit. This is when they begin to take more than they give back. The feeding becomes deliberate. They focus on specific emotional states, returning to the same ones night after night. Anxiety is rich, but unstable. Fear is powerful, but burns quickly. What they prefer most is resignation. That quiet feeling where you stop fighting what bothers you. That moment when you tell yourself, this is just how things are. That acceptance feeds them longer than panic ever could. Dreams change during this stage. They become less dramatic and more personal. Fewer monsters, more silence, conversations that feel unfinished, situations where nothing obviously bad happens, yet everything feels wrong. Demons don't need spectacle anymore. They've learned that subtlety keeps you asleep longer. They start removing things instead of adding them. Confidence dulls, motivation weakens. You wake up less certain about decisions that once felt simple. This isn't depression created out of nowhere. It's erosion, a slow wearing down of emotional edges. You adapt to the loss without realizing something was taken. This is also when your body reacts. Sleep becomes lighter. You wake up at the same time every night for no clear reason. Your heart races briefly, then calms. You roll over and fall back asleep. Demons use these moments to measure how close they can stay without being noticed. They don't want you fully awake. They want you aware just enough to feel unsettled. Sometimes they imitate people you trust. A voice in a dream sounds exactly right. A presence feels familiar. This is not coincidence. Demons use emotional shortcuts. Trust lowers resistance faster than fear. When you accept something in a dream without question, you are teaching them what form works best. Over time, the line between internal and external begins to blur. Thoughts feel intrusive but not foreign enough to reject. You dismiss them as stress, exhaustion, imagination. Demons rely on dismissal. Being ignored is safer than being believed in. At this stage, sleep paralysis becomes rarer, not more frequent. That phase is behind you now. Awareness has been smoothed out. You don't wake up during their work anymore. You sleep through it. That is progress, from their perspective. Morning brings a strange calm, not peace, but neutrality. Strong emotions feel distant. You function, but without sharpness. Demons don't want to break you. Broken things attract attention. They want you intact, predictable, and quietly altered. This is when people say they feel disconnected from themselves, like they're watching their life instead of living it. That feeling isn't emptiness, it's space. Space that didn't exist before. Space that something else now knows how to occupy. Demons don't announce this stage. There's no moment where you realize it's happening. That realization would be dangerous. Instead, they let you believe you've simply changed, that this is maturity, that this is life. And maybe that's the most effective thing they do while you sleep. They convince you that nothing is happening at all. By the fourth stage, demons no longer need to approach you carefully. There is no hesitation now, no testing of boundaries. Those boundaries have already softened. What once required effort has become instinctive. They know when you are most open, which nights you are weakest, which emotions give them the deepest access. Sleep is no longer just a state you enter. It is a condition they recognize. Dreams at this point begin to feel different. Not more frightening, but heavier. They carry a sense of inevitability. You don't try to escape anymore. You move through them the way you move through daily life, accepting what happens without resistance. Demons notice this shift immediately. Compliance is louder than fear. It tells them they've done their work well. This is when they begin to overlap presence. You don't see them clearly, but you sense direction. A position in the room, a side of the bed that feels occupied, a corner that feels watched. These sensations aren't imagined. They are impressions pressed gently into your awareness, subtle enough that you question yourself before questioning anything else. Doubt is their shield. They begin synchronization. Your sleep schedule aligns with their activity. You feel tired earlier than usual. You wake up at times that feel intentional. Your dreams cluster around certain themes without explanation. This isn't control in the dramatic sense, it's alignment. Two rhythms learning to move together. During this stage, demons sometimes allow fragments of memory to remain. You recall parts of dreams too clearly, a voice, a phrase, a feeling that lingers long after waking. This is not a mistake. It's reinforcement. Remembering makes the experience feel real, and reality weakens denial. Weak denial makes the next night easier. They start to use silence as a tool. Nights pass where nothing seems to happen. No disturbing dreams, no tension, just deep, uninterrupted sleep. These nights reset suspicion. You tell yourself things are better now, that whatever was bothering you has passed. Demons don't need constant access. They need timing. When they return, it's with purpose. They no longer feed broadly. They target specific reactions. Moments when you hesitate, moments when you doubt yourself, moments when you choose isolation over connection. These choices feel like your own. That's important. Ownership makes influence invisible. At this stage, people often report feeling observed even while awake, not constantly, but briefly. A flicker, a pressure, a sense that something is just behind awareness. This isn't paranoia, it's residue. Sleep-trained perception doesn't shut off completely. Part of you has learned to sense something your waking mind refuses to acknowledge. Demons don't push further unless invited. An invitation doesn't look like belief or rituals or words spoken out loud. Invitation looks like surrender, exhaustion, the quiet thought that says, I don't care anymore. That thought opens doors faster than curiosity ever could. If that invitation is given, even unintentionally, they deepen their hold. Dreams become less symbolic and more direct. Conversations feel intentional. Responses feel tailored. You wake up with answers you didn't remember asking for. Guidance that feels useful but slightly misaligned. Helpful but at a cost you can't name. Still, they remain careful. Possession is rare and inefficient. It draws attention. What they want is influence that goes unnoticed. A life that slowly shifts direction without dramatic change. A person who believes every step was their own choice. And by now, that belief is easy to maintain because nothing dramatic has happened. There are no scars, no missing time, just a gradual feeling that the world is heavier, quieter, and harder to care about than it used to be. That is not an accident. That is design.